with an amazing panel of entrepreneurs. Thank you all for joining us. Everyone is here coming together to make something magical and amazing and beautiful and inspiring for you and for us to be in this together. We are little herds. We want you to join our herd. We want you to be part of this journey that we are creating to bring people together. And we believe, not believe, because when you believe something, it may not be something you can prove. We know that everyone has a right to food that is good, clean, and fair. We know that Black lives matter. We know that trans lives matter. We know that the people of Ukraine a year ago, they have the right to their health, their happiness, to access to food, and they still don't have that. There is so much in this world that needs to be fixed, and the only way to fix it is to do it together.
Thank you, Arne. I'm Olivia Hernandez. I'm the culinary director for this event. To his notes, I'm a Latina, formerly undocumented, gay, woo! And I'm here to just open up those doors for other people just like me, because the future of food, it belongs to all of us, to you, to me, to my staff, to my students.
Future of food has really taken over the conversation here at South by, especially this is my 10th year now. I can't believe that. I moved to Austin about 3 years ago. And Austin, as one of the CPG capitals of the country and the world, is really seeing an influx of not only great young startups and companies, but also investors. In conversation, over 30% of the impact of these products can be attributed to climate degradation, and I really wanted to talk about how the change in growth in the pet foods market and new ways to grow some of our packaged food out of waterways such as oceans and seas, and also how consumer apps can impact the way that we see food and the many problems that have proliferated, especially over the last 3 years, as things like consumers and COVID have shown 54% increase in online grocery store orders and the need for packaged, shelf-stable foods. And so I'm happy to dive into this conversation here. We're going to start with Sarah and sort of make our way for quick introductions and then jump into the questions.
Sure, I'm Sarah Brand. I'm the founding general partner of a venture capital this morning upstairs because I thought it was for people. Went right in my mouth. It actually wasn't that bad.
It won't hurt you.
No, it won't hurt me. So I'm the CEO of Atlantic Sea Farms. We're a vertically integrated kelp company based in Maine. We produce over 85% of the line-grown seaweed in the United States, working with fishermen to diversify their income in the face of climate change by growing the most sustainable food on the planet.
Hi, I'm Claire Siegel, co-founder and CEO of Flourish. Flourish helps women break the diet cycle and
was to exclusively invest in women entrepreneurs because there are so few women entrepreneurs getting the venture capital dollars today. Yeah, but it just really shows you how nascent this market is because 20 million is very small in the venture capital world. Now we have a second fund, a $35 million fund we closed middle of last year, but it's just a tremendous opportunity. And besides just the financial outperformance that women founders see across all the markets in which they're playing in, we really see a bigger and even outsized opportunity in food in particular. Women are making 85% of all consumer purchase decisions. They're the ones that are primarily at the grocery store deciding what to buy. We have 16 now. Yep.
And for the panelists, for the founders, if we can just get a little bit of insight around how much you've raised and sort of what's been your challenges or some of your breakthroughs as you've worked on scaling pet food and scaling kelp and scaling consumer apps. And I know that you all are based sort of across the country and in Berkeley, then we have Maine, and I know, Claire, you're in Houston as well, so Austin. We're sort of hitting each corner of the country here. I want to really understand how it's been in terms of your experiences and sort of breakthroughs in fundraising.
Okay. Well, we have had to raise quite a bit of money. When we first started, there was not a lot of research that had been done on the dogs. We're feeding them insect protein, and so we needed to do the science behind it to prove out the digestibility and the utility. So that meant a lot of investment up front, and so we had to get investors to invest in us based on an idea, which is always a little bit more difficult. But having said that, there were enough people that really believed in what we were doing. It really is a game changer as far as the amount of resources that are required. And I've raised over $6 million to date. It's all been done through convertible notes and safes. And at some point here in the near future, we are going to be raising a Series A.
So everybody knows how to use kelp and everyone's familiar with it, so it's super easy. So what we're doing is, when I took over as CEO in 2018, the entire country, in the entire Western Hemisphere, produced around 30,000 pounds of line-grown kelp. But Americans eat a whole lot of seaweed, whether that be in the form of seaweed snacks, that bright green seaweed salad in it, that, just FYI, kelp isn't that color. That's all the stuff that's in Mountain Dew. That makes it look like that. So if you're eating it, know what you're eating. But it is all imported from Asia, and some areas better than others. Korea produces beautiful, healthy, clean product. China plants a lot of it in sewage outflow areas. So we had this sort of amazing landscape to work with, where we in Maine have 4,000 plus lobsters in a quarter of one. And so we have 15 and a half aisles to conquer with line-grown seaweed from the United States. And so we have this incredible workforce, an incredible market opportunity, and clean, cold water in which to do it. So the opportunity has always been clear to investors. The risk, however, is basically, on an idea of saying, like, guys, we're going to penetrate this market of 15 and a half aisles that nobody's ever seen before. And True Wealth was really behind what we were doing from the very beginning. They led our first round and has been in every consecutive round. We've raised $7 million. Now we will be launching a $9 million price round in the next few months. We're completely vertically integrated, and I think that's been something that's really hard for a lot of investors. And True Wealth's thesis around investing in women is one part of what they do. The other part is investing in system businesses. I just got here from Expo West at 2 a.m. last night from LA, where all of the food businesses are right now. 98% of them have absolutely no idea where their food is coming from. They don't touch it. They don't produce it. They don't know any of the farmers. They order from an ingredient panel. They put a really cute Instagram pink, emblem on it. They talk about how sustainable they are, and then they sell it for $50 million. We grow the seeds. We manage the farms. We produce everything we do. We run the trucks. That is so hard for investors to understand. They want to see this hockey stick, oh, cool, just slap a name on it. Why do you have 25 people and you still don't have enough? I'm like, well, we're driving, and we're farming, and we're producing seeds. So it's been really, actually, at first I thought it was a challenge, but I actually now see it as an opportunity 3 years in, because we get really great investors, people who actually want to change the world rather than just putting their name on something.
And even with a lot of that complexity, you still own a lot more of your value chain in this region as well. So thank you for going into that and diving into your value chain there. Claire, if we could just talk about really changing the perception around consumers, not only within your team, but also sort of marking a lot of the focus for nutrition impacts through a lot of what you're doing and building right now.
Yeah, so the way I kind of describe, I guess, our thesis at Flourish and how we arrived at a differentiated nutrition solution in a very crowded market is realizing through my professional experience, my background, I'm a registered dietitian. I've counseled at this point hundreds, if not thousands of women on food, healthy habits, and their relationship with food. And my own personal experience, having started dieting for the first time at the age of 13 and really struggling with food and body image for 10 plus years. What I found in the market was that most nutrition-focused solutions when it comes to food decisions will really center around food information and education. So, calories, points, plans, data around food. And what we recognized, again, through personal and professional experience, was that food information alone does not really generate lasting behavior change when it comes to shifting consumer mindsets, perceptions, and choices around food. So at Flourish, through our team of experts, we really address everything else. We kind of go beyond just food information and education, which is really important, but really dig into the physiology, the psychology, the environmental, the social aspects that actually motivate our food choices long term. I often liken it to kind of the practice of behavioral economics that explores all the irrational ways that we behave around money. Food is the exact same way. We are not, as humans, often rational eaters, and we often beat ourselves up for not being that way. And really, Flourish kind of begs the question, like, okay, how can we really get to the root of why you may know what to do, but you're just not doing it, and how can we help you start doing it and doing it consistently?
Seen is a real shift. The pets have become the new baby. Pets are the new baby, plants are the new pet. Somebody said that the other day and it really resonated with me. But what's happening is millennials and Gen Z are coming up, and they're almost 50% of the pet owners in the US now. And they really think differently about their pets. 58% of them would rather have pets than kids. And with that, they're making decisions, and their decision-making process is very complex. They use more information than any other generation. So when we're able to tell them that we've got this fantastic solution that gives them all the nutrition that their dog needs, can solve all sorts of problems. If you've got a dog with allergies, if you've got a dog with a gut health issue, one of our favorites, if your dog is passing gas all the time, if your dog has really smelly breath, we can solve that. But we can do it with a sustainable alternative. It uses less land, less water, and almost no greenhouse gases. Just to give you a sense of it, if you've got an acre of land and you put chickens on it, at the end of a year, you'll have 265 pounds of protein. But if you put crickets on that land, you'll have 65,000 pounds of protein. It's amazing. Yeah.
Thank you. Amazing. I wanna dive in here a little bit on like what people don't understand about what you do. And Sarah, I want you to look through a lens of like what don't other investors in sort of food and future of food understand about your investment thesis, and then for the founders, for all of you, I really want to sort of come through the lens of consumers and what they don't understand and what you want them to understand about the products that you're creating.
I think the lens we look through is not the typical CPG food investor. Like I mentioned, we don't have food as a vertical. We are really looking for quantifiable impacts in terms of improving environmental or human health. And so I think maybe what some of the big food investors don't understand is that, or they probably do, but our thesis is that a lot of these big food brands, consumers, especially the millennials and Gen Zs who are, and women, frankly, who are looking maybe another layer or two into what they're eating, that they don't trust these big food brands, right? They don't have insight into their supply chains and their sources, and so many processed things, so many ingredients you don't understand what they are, so many unsustainable things about it, and so they're not trusting those brands. And so there's a big kind of acquisitive opportunity in this space where these smaller brands that have really loyal customers that are doing the right thing, delivering really high quality offerings, they are very valuable to these bigger brands to buy the consumers and that trust, to buy the the supply chain, to buy just that cleaner thing, which they really are not set up to do because of the ingredients list that they, and the suppliers and the kind of thing that's their infrastructure. So I don't know if that answers your question, but I think that's one of the reasons.
I'm sure there's more pushback we can sort of highlight from investors sort of not matching your thesis, or other times that they skipped out on rounds that you've been a part of or led. And
I see.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we do come at it from a different way. Like with when Bree was talking about how other investors didn't understand the supply chain, it is hard because looking at comps, like where we're like there are no comps, there's nobody who really gets all the down to the seed, literally, but they're also putting product on the shelf and selling into wholesale. So it's very hard, and so sometimes investors don't they need to do their math, and if there's no comps, it's like, well, we think this is going to be too big of a lift in terms of educating the market or educating the potential acquirer. And so the other U.S.-based companies are selling treats, that kind of thing, that are cricket-based, but you're the only company that can sell it as actually food. So there's a lovely barrier to entry there.
So are we gonna all try the dog treats today?
Yes, they're and they're made in a facility that makes human grade. Right.
Well, we'll get some of those
cheese puffs.
reactions on video. And so for the consumer side, what would you all like? I know there's some really interesting stats on like what you're doing, how you're making it, but I want to know like what you want some of your consumers to know with your product lines right now.
I think one thing that has been really, so some statistics that Sarah gave around venture are even, but those same people that are hawking fish on ice are also not our target demographic. And when we go to, Boston, we don't even exhibit there. They'll say, oh, seaweed, is that the stuff that gets wrapped around my ankles? You talk to anyone that is under 45, that's a woman, even over 45, everyone's like, oh, cool, I've been eating seaweed snacks. Costco is the biggest seller of seaweed in the US. It's not Whole Foods. Trader Joe's can't keep those seaweed snacks on the shelf. Nori is everywhere, sushi is everywhere. You can go to the most desolate place in Maine and still find sushi. When I was really easy to eat, it tastes great. We'll be coming out with a snack in about 18 months. We have kelp cubes that go in your smoothies in the morning to give you your iodine boost for thyroid function. Just ways that make it really easy for people to use, and also just realizing that you're gonna have to ignore a part of the demographics out there.
I'm glad you brought that up because I oftentimes think about how we can sort of reinvent everything from marketing to trade shows to sort of points of access to promoting our products. Like, where do you see the company diversifying like traditional ways to promote seafood and sea products out there?
A lot of it is going to be through other companies that have really big brand presence. So what we use our retail brand for is getting it on the shelf, showing people that it can win awards, that people are excited about it, that we're having high velocity, and then a General Mills comes by and puts some seaweed in their cracker, just 5%, and right now we're talking to Hidden Valley on their ranch dressing. They need a vegan ranch. This is umami. There's all these kind of bigger companies that are like, oh, this seaweed thing actually has some staying power. And so that's how we're going to really get it out to all those 15 and a half aisles is we can do some of that. $9 million is not going to do that. It's going to allow us.
Societally, we've equated eating nutritiously with being on a diet, when in fact, we know that diets have a staggering failure rate of 95% or more, and that they're actually antithetical.
We're actually working with influencers. And in our case, it's not just the influencers on, say, TikTok or Instagram. We're working.
How can we tap into our communities, into policies, into even some of the educational communities to really your education? But I would love for you to share.
Yeah, I think when I guess something that I didn't realize when I started as CEO of this, it's especially in Maine, it's people who are there for 2 weeks. It's vacation land from Boston and New York. And they have gentrified the coast so horrendously, and they get to decide what's out in front of their front windows. And that is true in Washington, it's true in California, it's true in Oregon. Name your coastal community and try to think of a place where there is not gentrification of the coastline to the extreme. So it's incumbent upon us as consumers to, instead of looking at the ocean as a place that's just kind of this open space, to look at it as a place where there's a lot of hope, and talk about, crickets sound, I'm kind of annoyed that crickets are a little bit more efficient than kelp, something that's not cows, but is protein that is grown with no inputs. And I think that's going to be a demand from people.
I also think it's really interesting being here in Austin with the Dell Medical School, being really focused on value-based care, and even the home of the Whole Foods headquarters, and how there's a lot of, well, I shouldn't say a lot. There's a
Money savers is not something that's only accessible to the rich people who have houses on Maine, on the coast of Maine. And there's also,
a lot of work that also needs to be driven by the general public in making statements around climate future foods, because we got to be better.
Quickly, in the crowd, how many farmers are in here?
Yeah, it's a prop, guys, here we are. But my question for you is about the time in between now and when
behavior change comes in, where we have to like really rewire the way that we think about the choices that we make and recognize, oh, I'm falling into that same pattern. I'm gonna buy this, beautiful dozen eggs from a farmer.
To really drive biodiversity and nutrient-dense foods, I remember you said that, Bree, is sort of the lack of nutrient density in the foods now, especially as they have halved over the...
Thanks for the opportunity to be here. Hello, everybody. My name is Andrea Abel. I'm the Executive Director of FarmShare Austin. We are a local nonprofit located on a 10-acre certified organic farm about 10 miles east of the airport. We have a mission to grow a healthy, just, and equitable local food system, and we do that by cultivating new farmers and increasing community food access.
I love that. I love cultivating new farmers, right? That is key. We heard we need more farmers. One of our core missions with Little Herds is education for young people. So this kind of thing really hits to our heart. And we've had some amazing collaborations with FarmShare. One of the things that's really cool about FarmShare, though, is that they actually get the food into communities that need it. So tell us a little bit about the programs that you'll have for getting food that is more accessible, maybe even getting food to areas that don't have access to that food, and the impact that you'll see here in Austin in those communities.
Absolutely. So we are located, like I said, on a 10-acre organic farm, and we teach adults how to launch careers in sustainable and organic farming. And most of the produce that we grow at the farm through our staff and through our students goes directly into the community through a partnership with the city and the county called Fresh for Less. And Fresh for Less is mobile markets and home curbside delivery, where we aggregate produce from our farm, other local farms, healthy, nutrient-dense grocery items, the same type of items that you will see on the shelves in Whole Foods and other health food stores. And everything is reduced price. We accept.
Have to jump off. Do y'all have volunteer opportunities? Can we grow some more farmers?
Absolutely. Actually, right now, applications are open on our website. If